So after all these lessons on if statements, you're probably wondering, what happens when it's false? That's what we're going to work on today. So let's start by looking at some code. Here I have int grade equals scan.nextEnt. So we're going to input a value. If the grade is greater than or equal to 60, the student is passing. Otherwise, they're failing. Let's compile. And when we run, so again, if I type in a 90, I'm passing. The problem, though, is I don't get a message if I'm failing. So if I have a 48%, which is clearly not a passing grade, I don't get any message back about that. The way we fix that is with the else command. So what we do is right here, where my cursor is, we just type in else, curly bracket, close curly bracket, and then we want to print a nice little message that they are failing, and let's recompile. So run it again. This time, when I type in my 48, it tells me that I'm failing. And if I run it again with a 78, it should tell me that I'm passing. Now again, we've talked about border cases. Our border situation here is the grade being 60. If they're at a 60, we want them to be passing. Otherwise, we want it failing. So really, we need to test the numbers 59 and 60 here just to make sure it works. Let's do that real quick. First of all, 60 is a passing by the skin of your teeth, passing grade. And let's try it again. A 59. You didn't make it, you're failing. So again, anytime you're doing these kinds of if statements, you want to look at the numbers you're using in your test condition and really test the numbers kind of right on either side just to make sure you've got your relational operator here, the greater than or equal to, exactly right. So as we move forward, most of our programs are going to need to test more than one condition at a time. So to do that, we're going to be able to use this else command. So the ifs we've been doing, when the condition is true, the stuff we hid behind the gate happens. Now we've added the else, which tests for when the information is false. So you can have an either or. It will do one or the other. Now sometimes you want to test more than one thing at a time. So here we've got a similar situation. At the bottom, the student has an F. At the top, we want to print that they have an A. And we want to be able to correctly print all the grades in between. So to do that, we're going to use one big long if statement. So I have my very first test. If grade is greater than or equal to 90, then the student has an A. And then we use an else and an if together. Notice there's a space right here. They're not connected. So else if grade is greater than or equal to 80, the student gets a B. Else if grade is greater than or equal to 70, it's a C. Else if grade is greater than or equal to 60, they have a D. Now here's a little bit of a change. At the bottom, the only other possibility is that they have an F. If their grade is not higher than any of these other grades, then obviously the student is failing. So for this one, you notice we don't need that extra if. We can just leave it off. So else system.out.println F. So that means anybody who doesn't have one of these other grades will automatically fall into the F category. Now, like we saw with our other if statements, sometimes we want to do more than one thing at a time. So in this situation, we're testing if x equals the letter A. And notice here we've got single quotes instead of double quotes. So if x equals A, I want to add 4 to their GPA and print out a message that they have the top grade. Else if x is a B, I want to add 3 to their GPA calculation and print out a message that says well done. The problem is, the way we do if statements is the if is going to run through, and as soon as it hits that first semicolon, it stops, which means technically the way I have this written right now, this system.out.println is outside the gate of my if statement. So the fix for that is easy. Like we've seen before, we're going to use our curly brackets. So what we've done now is GPA plus equals 4 and system.out.println top grade. These two are now connected to this if statement. GPA plus equals 3 and system.out.println well done. These two commands are connected to the else if statement. Now I'd like you to try it. Input a person's age. If the number is greater than or equal to 18, then they can vote. Otherwise, they cannot.